Hello, good evening and welcome to Iron Port. It is proudly brought to you by Goil Company Limited, the Ghana Revenue Authority, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, also Serene Insurance, the media partner is the Business and Financial Times. And if you get a copy of the Thursday edition of that newspaper, you should read a lot about what transpires there. Also, Ghana Web, you should read a lot about what transpires there on that portal as well. Tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. on GH1, an abridged version of this program should be shown there. And then on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. an abridged version should be shown on Ghana Television. Folks, we are going to talk about security around the port industry. Recent times we've heard about the arrest of the cocaine not too long ago. I think it's just about 2 weeks ago or so. Recently we heard about the arrest of the ammunitions by the security folks as well. So quite a number of interesting developments when it comes to security around the port, and the security agencies are on top of it. They are doing quite well, tremendously, when it comes to nabbing some of these things. We're going to find out details about those activities, what the security folks are doing, and the sort of signal they want to send out there to the general public, because you may be aware that we are in a very peculiar situation, or peculiar period, if you want to put it that way. So it is important that we look at the security of a very important facility as the port, where we import and export goods into this country. That's what we're going to deal with, and we have the experts from the top security agencies that matter when it comes to the industry and protecting our shores from some of these unscrupulous activities, to talk a lot about it. In the meantime, news and activities that have taken place around the port industry, and then we'll go for a short break. After that, we'll be back into the studio for the discourse.
Every now and again, Goil makes good things happen. This time, Goil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. Goil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. Goil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. Goil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with Goil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. Goil has that sorted. Goil, good energy.
Electricity, then pay your taxes. Our taxes, our future.
Because you see, without our taxes, we wouldn't have good roads, good schools, better hospitals, street lights, and other very important social amenities. When we pay our taxes, we give our children free and quality education. Talga, my money too small. Why should I pay my tax? Look, small. Salifo, it doesn't matter how small or big your business or income is. You still have to pay your taxes. The little taxes from each and every one of us, when put together, could give your community clean water, or that deprived school with tables and chairs. Please pay your taxes. It is your responsibility. It is your civic duty. It is the law.
Oh, how are you?
Hi Yvonne, a few words please. Everyone is talking about the fire at your production house last week. How are you holding up? Has production stalled?
No, not at all. My crew and everyone on my set is perfectly fine because I insure with Serene Insurance. As a matter of fact, I've had all my equipment replaced, including the vehicles that were affected. My workers have been sorted out. Even my production downtime has been covered. So it's all good. I have a meeting to attend to, so I have to get going. Sorry about that.
Which insurance company did you mention?
Serene Insurance, the new face of insurance, a member of First Sky Group.
Sa coronavirus yare no yare a sign pa. So obinya bi na se opo wagu so ana se obinti gu so a utumenya yare ni bi.
Okadi ni bahani onaka oyehila ekoji. Ohe banye do. Obawulo, Ogobahunu, Obachine, Ojamba Wahi, Obana Sen Kaka, Mekmemusunchon, Mekmenuni Nihi, Chitomoboninke, Jemofemo, Bash Chon Okaji Neko.
Coronavirus infection, the symptoms can range from mild, one of it being asymptomatic. Asymptomatic just means that you may not have any symptoms at all, and the disease process can gradually worsen to be a severe form, the severest being ultimately death. We are expected to sanitize our hands when our hands are not visibly soiled or you can't really see dirt on your hands. If you can see dirt on your hands, the best thing to do is to wash your hands with soap and the running water.
If you're using any of the cloth face masks, always make sure you have a rubber bag ready to receive it when you remove it, or you have a bowl of warm soapy water in which you can place the mask and wash. Wash your mask, dry in the hot sun for at least 5 hours, and apply heat by way of ironing.
Utiliser les ports de TEMA et de Takoradi, c'est avoir un traitement rapide et sécurisé de vos marchandises diverses en conteneurs, en sac ou en vrac, ainsi que tous vos véhicules en transit. Le Ghana a construit un parking bien pavé pour tous les véhicules en transit. Une nouvelle gare frigorifique pour le stockage de la marchandise congelée en transit. Avec un nouveau centre de traitement de données construit et la mise en œuvre efficace d'un guichet unique national qui permet aux données d'être accessibles par tous les intervenants, le traitement des dossiers dans les ports du Ghana est maintenant efficace et plus efficient. Utiliser les ports du Ghana, c'est profiter des systèmes de portes électroniques et d'exploitation des terminaux ainsi que de la réservation des navires en ligne, entraînant ainsi un parc de camions fiable pour un acheminement de vos marchandises dans les brefs délais avec un suivi satellitaire jusqu'à nos frontières.
Les femmes, à vous les honneurs.
Les ports de TEMA et de Takoradi célèbrent la femme. Que les bienfaits de cette célébration apportent plus de bénédictions.
Oh, okay. We're too African for some of those news. Welcome back from the break. Let's take a look at some of the news and activities that have happened around the port industry in the past few days.
The Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Seth Amwama, has praised the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority for its immense support over the years, especially in helping fuel naval vessels in the fight to curb the incidents of piracy in the country's territorial waters.
We need to be able to go deeper into the ocean, and that is how come the support from GPHA is very appreciative, because the ships consume a lot of fuel, and what we get from government can only sustain 1 or 2 patrols, but with more fuel we can be at sea at longer period.
Speaking during a working visit to the management of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, he said that the relationship between his outfit and the Port Authority has been a fruitful one towards the protection of Ghana's marine space.
We have had a very good and lasting relationship for many years, given the fact that we all provide security or work towards the maritime security of our maritime environment.
He also assured of his commitment to ensure that oil vessels that call the naval base in Sekondi would redirect their operations to the new ultra-modern oil terminal at the port of Takoradi.
Oil and gas terminal is completed. It's a matter of giving notice to the vessels that call on naval base that it's a purely military institution, not a commercial port. So they don't have any cause to continue to use the Sekondi naval base.
The Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Michael Lugoje, corroborated his assertion and called for oil vessels to call at the new port facility in Takoradi.
And certainly, what we are also thinking as GPHA is, after we've had that correspondence with you, we also talk to the operators themselves there.
Yes.
To let them appreciate the need for them to begin to contemplate withdrawing from the naval base and coming to the main.
The director of the port of KETA, Dr. Alexander Eduse, also reviewed plans to accommodate the Navy in the construction of the new port due to the vital role they play in guarding the nation's waters.
We would like the consultants also to engage you and your team to ensure that we will be able to provide a facility that will also accommodate your presence, so that your monitoring of that corridor will be very efficient and effective.
The first batch of the consultants conducting feasibility studies for the construction of the port of KETA have arrived in Ghana and commenced physical stakeholder engagement with the KETA community. On the 14th October 2020, the advanced group of consultants belonging to the Selhorn team, consultants for the feasibility studies, were accompanied by the director of KETA Port and other GPHA officials, including the project engineer Kwabla Ofori, to be introduced to the KETA community to officially resume physical stakeholder engagements. Amid the COVID-19, the consultants for the feasibility studies had been virtually communicating with stakeholders for the necessary information and data. However, due to the scope of work required, it was very important for them to be active on the grounds to do their research and analysis. First, the arrival following the reopening of the airport to human traffic. Speaking at the first stakeholder engagement with the KETA community, representatives of the traditional leadership of KETA expressed pleasure at the interest shown in KETA for the port and called for speedy execution of all processes.
So we are sure you want to give us a very good harbor. That is why it is taking us a very long time. But we want to know, every pregnancy has a duration. So where are we now?
Municipal Chief Executive of KETA, Godwin Efa Eduji, promised of a good collaboration from his outfit towards all interactions with the consultants.
We will keep working with you hand in hand from now henceforth. We won't do anything in isolation.
Dr. Joachim Zago, a representative of the Selhorn team, revealed that having previously done works on the TEMA and Takoradi port expansion projects, they are conversant with the Ghanaian terrain in port infrastructure development and will deliver well on their task.
We are specialized in port engineering. We have done, for example, for TEMA Port, the master plan. We are doing right now the work in Takoradi for the dry bulk terminal, the engineering planning. So we are well aware about Ghana and let's see the technical, but also in some ways the socio-economic background.
Director of the Port of KETA, Dr. Alexander Duse, explained the significance of the gradual planning and developmental processes of the port project.
As we've been saying all day, we plan. The planning is the most important part. Make sure that all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, to ensure that once you start putting bricks and mortar together, you know that you are on a solid platform. That's what we are doing.
He expressed continued commitment to fulfilling the desires of the KETA people regarding the port project. He revealed that there would be the establishment of GPHA communication centers within the KETA area for easy access to information by constituents of the community.
We are also working to create our own communication center so people can come and ask questions and get answers. And hopefully within these engagements and information sharing, I think we can get the people around us, because GPHA needs the people around us to be able to develop the facility.
The TEMA branch of the Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry has held its third business meeting of the year, which focused on legal education on contracts and negotiations. According to the leadership of the chamber, during its engagement with the business community, it noted an emerging increase in contract conflicts among business executives. Hence, the need to educate members of the chamber on key areas to look out for when writing or signing any business contract or agreement. The chairman of the TEMA branch of the JNCCI, Isaac Barry, emphasized on the need for business executives to know their fundamental legal obligations and understand the implications of some clauses within contracts.
We have to know our obligations, and we have to create clauses that can carry the businesses through so that it becomes a win-win situation.
The director of the Port of Tema, who is also an expert on maritime law, Sandra Opoku, and acting as a guest speaker for the meeting, emphasized the need for legal education in order to get rid of the assumptions that commonly mislead business persons. She advised importers of goods to make use of professionals at the recognizable custom house associations to help them make the right legal decisions in their international business arrangements.
For the clearing agents, majority of them understand the documentation that needs to go into it, and so even before you decide to import, you can go to GIF headquarters and let somebody there, be nominated for you to take you through the documentation before you sign anything with the seller, whether in Far East or Europe.
Twenese Edward Amuzu, an international law expert and lecturer at the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, said the incidence of the COVID-19 pandemic has brought untold hardships to businesses. So it is pivotal for businesses to be able to investigate if the pandemic frustrated business contracts and the actions to take as a result.
It's important that the provisions of various contracts are carefully reviewed and parties reflect over the consequences of frustration as provided for by law under our Contract Act, in order for them to take decisive decisions as to what exactly they can do going forward.
He said it is fortunate that the Contract Act of Ghana spells out the dynamics that guide frustrated contracts. Hence, it is important for business people to familiarize themselves with such provisions in the law. The head of freight and logistics at the Ghana Shippers Authority, Fred Asiedu-Date, has said the completion of the TEMA-AKOSOMBO railway project will boost transit trade. He said the project, which is a component of the 1,000-kilometer Ghana-Burkina Railway Interconnectivity Project, will fast-track key requirements of the Memorandum of Understanding signed between the GSA and the Shippers Councils of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger to facilitate inter-country trade. Asiedu-Date added that the project will also relatively reduce the cost of transportation of goods and serve the interest of transit shippers and shippers in the northern part of the country. He said this during a tour to monitor the state of progress of the railway project on 14th October 2020 by members of the Port Infrastructure Committee of the Governing Board of the Ghana Shippers Authority. The 97-kilometer railway stretches from Tema to Mpakedan and is being funded by the Indian Exim Bank at a cost of $447 million. The project, which comes with the construction of 6 passenger stations and a freight terminal in the Tema port, is part of the National Railway Plan to construct over 4,500-kilometer railways across the country. The director of the Port of Tema, Sandra Opoku, who is also a member of the board of GSA, said the construction of the TEMA-AKOSOMBO railway will significantly reduce the movement of cargo by road, particularly to the northern part of the country. The Deputy Chief Executive of the Ghana Railway Company Limited, Dr. Michael J. Anyete, said plans are far advanced for Ghana to take over the management of the project after its completion. The Port Ladies Association of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, in collaboration with International Maritime Hospital, has embarked on an intensive education on breast cancer for its members. Breast cancer is the most common cancer in women worldwide, and in low and middle income countries like Ghana, the incidence has been rising steadily. Research suggests that breast cancer is also the leading cause of cancer mortality in Ghanaian women. According to a family physician specialist at the International Maritime Hospital, Dr. Yayecha Boateng, due to the fatality associated with the cancer in its late stages, it is important to emphasize on early detection, which is the best option in the management of the illness.
The overall 5-year survival rate of breast cancer, when you're detected at stage 0 and 1, is 90%. But you can see that for stage 4 is less than 20%.
She revealed that high exposure to estrogen, the female sex hormone, aging, genetics, and ethnicity are among some of the uncontrollable natural risk factors of breast cancer. However, there's the need to practice healthy lifestyles to reduce chances of breast cancer.
We need to cut down on alcohol intake, excessive alcohol intake, because that increases our risk of developing breast cancer. people who smoke, whether it's actively smoking or inhaling from someone else's smoking, you are at risk of developing breast cancer. Those on the oral contraceptive pills and then hormone replacement therapy for our postmenopausal women, exposure to radiations, physical inactivity, and obesity.
The members of the Port Ladies Association were also taught the appropriate ways to do the self-breast examination themselves and also advised to get screened regularly. The PLUS members also had the opportunity to interact with some breast cancer survivors and ambassadors of the Breasted One Foundation, who are playing a crucial role in the encouragement of women countrywide who may be unfortunately diagnosed for the illness. The president of the Port Ladies Association and the corporate procurement manager of GPHA, Philippa Amanda Ama, asked the members of PLUS to take advantage of the free healthcare they receive as employees of GPHA to make sure to get checked up regularly so that the incidence of late cancer detection is reduced drastically.
Those of us who are privileged to work in GPHA, we have no excuse. Every year, make sure that you go and have a full examination done, a full body exam.
The marketing and public affairs manager at the Port of Tema, Sewa Opoku-Fosu, said such educational arrangements go a long way to empower women to be able to play an influential role in their own faiths, as well as make them ambassadors in their various communities.
If you are educated, it is your responsibility to do so to your family, to the people in your community. Make yourself an ambassador for it, because it is painful, it is costly, and if it can be avoided, why wait?
The International Maritime Hospital has partnered 3FM to offer free breast screening in Kanda, where the radio station is situated. This is in continuation of efforts to bring adequate awareness and support to Ghanaians nationwide on breast cancer. This initiative is in addition to the free breast screening IMaH is already doing at its own hospital premises in Tema on Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays throughout the month of October. The head of clinical services at the International Maritime Hospital, Dr. Helen Tete, said these efforts align with the hospital's vision of reaching as many people as possible to ensure early detection of the cancer, which is usually highly curable in such cases.
The whole aim is that we want as many people as we can to participate in this activity. Every woman, every man, wherever you are, our heart cries that you'll be able to examine your breast, because breast cancer is real.
She therefore called on all people above 20 years to take advantage of the opportunity and examine their breast, especially in this month when it is free.
We recommend, whether you are a man or a woman, so long as you have a breast, you still have a risk of getting breast cancer. And so we say that everybody above 20 should examine their breast.
The event manager commercial at Media General, Jacqueline Smith, said the high death rate of cancer is as a result of the fact that people do not go for testing early. She therefore entreated the general public to make it a point to take advantage of the free breast screening in the month of October to know their status.
International Maritime Hospital is offering 40% discount for anyone who comes for the screening and finds out that they have to do further investigation, whether it's a mammogram or ultrasound, whatever it is. They are offering this amount, and that is huge. So we are calling on everyone, come wherever you are, come to Adesawe TV3 premises and have your breast screened for free. We'll be here the whole day. On Monday, the 19th of October, we'll be at the AMA premises. Come and get your breast screened.
In the studio is Mr. Dunstan Ayamga, the Chief Revenue Officer, Preventive Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, TEMA. Mr. Ayamga, good to see you. Pleasure to have you hijacked in the studio. Also in the studio is Sub-Lieutenant Christian Kofi Tete, retired. He's the National Security Liaison Officer at the Tema Port. Mr. Tete, pleasure to have you in the studio, sir.
Thank you.
Let me just read this that we saw just about 2 weeks ago, this thing about the narcotics. Now, briefly, it came from the NACOC, which is a Narcotics Control Commission, NACOC. In a joint operation with the Bureau of National Investigations, BNI, and the National Security Council Secretariat, has intercepted 152 kilograms. Where am I going? Kilograms of cocaine concealed in a shipment of sugar from Brazil. Now read just the first 2 points. It says the seizure was based on intelligence received that a consignment of 50% containers of sugar detained for Ghana from Brazil are likely to have substances suspected to be narcotics concealed in it. The second part is the consignment with bill of lading number so-and-so was shipped from Brazil by a certain company, a Brazilian company, on behalf of one Ghanaian based in Dubai, one company as well. The shipment consists of 27,000 bags of Brazilian white crystal sugar with a gross weight of 1,150 metric tons. Okay, so it comes with some companies here and there and all of that. Then the third point is that acting on the intelligence, NACOC, together with BNI and National Security, mounted surveillance on the shipment until the suspected narcotic substances were retrieved from the consignment of sugar on Saturday, 12th of September 2020, with the assistance of some officials from the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, stations of the warehouse, the physical search in the suspected containers and the bags of sugar concealed or connected on commenced on Thursday, 10 September 2020. The suspected narcotic substances were on Saturday, 12 September 2020, found concealed among the bags of sugar in container number so. Bags of sugar were identified to have suspected narcotic substances concealed in each. In all, 150 slabs of substances suspected to be narcotics were retrieved from the consignment under the joint operation. So that is one on the narcotics bit. I'm going to read another one that's on the arrest of ammunitions that we saw also in the course of the week. Now, this release came from the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority. It says seizure of arms and ammunitions at the port of Tema. The attention of the Ghana Revenue Authority has been drawn to information being circulated in the media about a consignment of goods that was seized by the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority at the Tema port on Friday, 9th October 2020. The Customs Division of the GRA wishes to put on record that 1. The container described on arrival at the Tema port as containing personal effects, household goods, and the carding machine was flagged as red channel after examination. 18 packages identified as restricted items were found in the container. These include 436 pistols, that is sidearms, 26 packs of 50 pieces of ammunition, and 140 ml piece of pepper spray. The second one says these items had been imported into the country without the necessary permits from Ministry of Interior. The items had also not been declared to customs on arrival. An inventory of the items was taken in the presence of officers of the Preventive Wing of the Customs Division, Intelligence and Examination Officer, Bureau of National Investigations and National Security, and the police. All representatives, including the clearing agent, signed against the total number of arms and ammunition seized. It goes on and on. It was signed by my own big sister, Assistant Commissioner, Communications and Public Affairs, Mrs. Florence Asante. Mr. Tete, I'll start with you on the narcotics, the narcotics, the release by the NACO. If you can give us a picture of what happened briefly, and then we will come and talk about the ammunitions briefly, and we'll take a look at holistically what are some of these security threats that you're battling and how you're handling them within the port space.
Okay, before I proceed, let me just give you a brief on what our activities in the port as national security.
National security.
Yes. It's a detachment of national security to the port, and I happen to be the head. And so our duty there is to prevent people from bringing arms and ammunition or contraband goods, to ensure that revenue targets are achieved through the system where people declare and misdescribe. When we say misdescription, we mean when you bring in maybe issue, then you describe it as chalewote, so that it attracts lower revenue taxes. Having said that, in the case of the cocaine saga, I had an intelligence in my office about a particular container, the source which I cannot disclose, and in such circumstances we do write letter to detain the container. I write from my office to detain, and customs also put it in their database. So if you are coming to clear it, they will refer you to us. Then finally, we had intel from our head office that those things contain some suspected substances. In fact, the goods were meant for warehousing. It means that they are clearing all the 50 containers in the warehouse. So we had to escort it from the port to the warehouse.
How many containers were those?
About 50.
The ones you detained?
No, one. That was one. Yes.
And they were sending it to the warehouse where it had about 49
it's part
containers
of the
there.
consignment of the 50.
And that would have been 50 containers too?
Yes, yes. Okay. So, together with some higher officers from our head office in Accra, Blue Gate, we escorted the containers to the warehouse. Lo and behold, that particular container, when we opened it, we found the
cocaine in them.
Yes. So that's how
that one came about.
It came about.
Okay. Mr. Ayamga, share with us what happened with the ammunition bit.
Yeah, then I will say hello to my superior officers and my colleagues and the viewers.
In the first place, you may also want to explain to us the area that you function, the preventive area. What's your function within the port area?
The preventive unit is the eye of the customs. Yeah, we are situated. Preventive activities permeates everything at the customs.
Okay.
From examination, even from the ship, the vessel, to the gate. We are situated there to ensure that all the regulations and rules governing imports are complied with.
Okay.
So we are, in fact, we are the spirit of the customs.
Okay.
Because all the regulations
that goes on,
we have to ensure that the officers comply with the regulations. The importers, whoever is dealing with customs, the clearance, comply with the regulations. So that is basically what the preventive unit does.
Are you also to ensure that every item that a client says that they have imported is exactly what they bring in?
Exactly. That's why I'm saying that the preventive job permeates all the aspects of customs.
Okay.
The examination officer does some preventive job.
Okay.
But the unit stands out as the what you see.
Okay.
But the preventive processes go through all the processing and
okay. So on daily basis, if I have imported something, at what point do you come in? Do you come in when my cargo has arrived? It's been deposited. The container has been deposited. At what point do you come into my import?
The preventive monitors. That's what I'm saying. From the port to the gate.
Okay.
From the port to the gate, we patrol the ports. We monitor whatever you bring. So in fact, we ensure that everything that comes into the port is properly accounted for.
Okay.
Duties are paid. Yeah.
And do you have any also link to gathering intelligence from origin of imports, for instance?
Yes.
So if there is something wrong with a particular container from country of origin, are you in a place to gather intelligence to the
in fact, the preventive unit has a hierarchy.
Okay.
From headquarters down to the
port.
So intelligence is gathered. We have intelligence unit,
okay,
which they have with cooperation from Interpol, WCO, our sister customs outside our jurisdiction. So all this, we work closely with them, and with, of course, with our local intelligence agencies. Yeah.
So now, what happened with those ammunitions, if you can share with us?
This consignment, that was on the 9th of October. It was positioned around 12:15 for examination. So before we do the examination, we profile the declaration. So a team, the examination officer, preventive, looked at what was brought. When they profiled the examination, they found some gaps. What were the gaps? The duty paid was not what we expected.
Lower or higher?
Lower. It was lower than we expected. The quantity declared was also suspect. So we gave directives that there should be the examination should be thorough. So they went with the team, of course, preventive examination and other agencies. National Security, of course, is there, BNI and other. So as they opened the container, what they saw was something like a toolkit, box of toolkits. So they opened one and saw that there was a pistol in it.
I see.
So
the box that looked like a toolkit. When they opened one of those pistols.
So they all agreed that it was a pistol. So they really, when they went further, they found that some of these boxes, which looked like toolkits, were scattered in the consignment. So they removed them, and then when they realized that there was more, we had to
do further.
Exactly. We had to offload everything to examine. So at that level, all the boxes and bags were brought out. So we moved them to the authority building, where we did the counting. At that stage, we brought all the agencies who matter or who are concerned with the security to witness. We took their signatures, and after counting, the figure as given by the communication is what we had. That is 436 pieces of sidearms. Yeah, pistols. And then 26 boxes times 50 pieces times 9 mm blank ammo. And then 1 piece pepper spray, 40 milliliters. That is exactly what we found. And from there, we had to seize it outright.
The entire container, or just the items the boxes that had these ammunitions?
Yes, that we seized.
The ones you seized?
Yes.
You seized everything?
We seized these ones immediately.
The boxes?
And sealed the container. We transferred it to the state warehouse to do further checks. Because because of that day, we were very concentrated on this one. We decided to seal it and transfer it to the state warehouse.
But did you let the other items go to anyone else?
No. We can't. Because they were concealed. That might be legitimate trade, but they were concealed in those ones, which in the first place
which items did he declare? What did he say? He said household items.
Household items, carding machine, and those things. That is what personal effects. Yeah.
Do you foresee that if he had, if these things had been concealed in different package form, in a different package that looked similar to other household items, would it still have been clearer to you that, or still be suspicious to you?
Yes. Examination is.
How do you undertake the examination?
Examination
randomly, or
you see, you give directives.
Yes.
If, for example, if you say you've paid lower, we have to check to see whether what you really have is what you declared. The storage factor was considered, and we saw that the quantity did not meet the storage factor. Yeah. So it means that you have to do thorough examination, and I'm sure wherever he would have concealed, in whatever way, these weapons would have found.
How would you have found them, so that for somebody who wants to know that, oh, indeed, you could have, how could you have detected that these or this container contained this ammunition or these ammunitions?
Through the examination.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do thorough examination. You bring out open, you search.
If you had not suspected because you suspected that the value, for instance, was under declared and all of that, what other options are there to enable you detect some of these things within the container?
You see, when the container is flagged red, it means you have to examine it 100%.
Okay.
Unless you, in your experience, you think that, oh, this container I'm examining, I think I'm satisfied. But you must examine it 100%.
Okay.
And this case, particular container, we give directives that it should be examined 100%.
Okay.
Yes.
What necessitates a container to be flagged red?
So many things are taken into consideration by the risk management team at headquarters.
So you get information from the headquarters that
there's a team, or there's the risk management team flags container, whether red, green, yellow, or I think blue.
Okay.
Yeah. So they flag the container. So there's the single window has a process.
Red, yellow, or green?
Yes. So they can flag it yellow, green, or red.
Or red.
Yes.
If it's yellow, it requires intensive examination.
If it's yellow,
then you may choose.
Exactly.
And if it's green, then you
scan.
without scan.
If the scan person feels that okay, he can let it go. But red means that you have to conduct examination.
It is what happened in the ammunition incident, something that has happened before. There's some time back on this same program, we showed an Audi A6 that had been concealed in a container. It had not been declared or manifested. It had all these mattresses and things covered around it. So the person didn't say that I had this Audi A6 in the car. And your folks, the preventive folks, you managed to get hold of this and detect it. How frequent do you see things like this?
Specifically with the arms?
With the arms or people under declaring?
Yes,
let's deal with the arms.
Declaration is I mean, it's a daily, I can say it's a daily affair, but we are
dealing with them.
Dealing with them.
Okay.
We take them, we penalize them, and it's a daily affair. But maybe specifically with the arms, this is for a long time we have not got something like this.
Okay. How long ago?
I've been in the system for some time. Maybe we get these imitated weapons.
Yeah.
Somebody brings 1 or 2 pistols.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes he doesn't know the procedure. We retain it, transfer it to the public warehouse. Then we hand it over to the police to deal with. Yes. The person has gone through the necessary procedures. They may release it to him or her.
What makes people think that they can bring in some of these items, not go through the proper channel, get permits, in the case of the ammunition, get permits from the Ministry of Interior and all of that, and still be able to beat the system and get out there? Because everything shows that you have been, the security agencies have been on top and you have been arresting them. So why do they still have this confidence? What motivates this?
Well, when people are aggressive, they want to make money out of dirty situations, then they employ these tactics. But you see, I want to throw more light on my big man's presentation. Sometimes to be able to assure yourself that somebody is trying to beat the security system, you know, the customs have their security risk classification. That's the green,
yellow and red.
But with national security, there's one thing that we are also keen on it. We have homogeneous goods and heterogeneous goods. Heterogeneous, sometimes we call it COMSO, that is consolidated. So as for consolidated goods, we send it to the intrusive bay to go and check it because it's made up of different cargo.
Goods belonging to different people, possibly.
So that is where they sometimes used to do some of these things. You understand? Because the guy said it was a personal items. So it means that the items are quite different. So they will misdescribe. Okay, they will misdescribe and say that, oh, it's fridge, is this, is that. So that also increases your suspicion. Okay, now maybe they think that we don't know what we are about, but sometimes we even profile from the source of the cargo. Like if you bring sugar from the Latin American countries.
So in the case of this one from Brazil, it's
so it's a high suspicion.
Why? If I declare
because those areas they grow a lot of this cocaine, they produce a lot of cocaine.
I see.
Yes.
So the source of the cargo can also help you.
Yes, can also help you. So you profile it, and then when you have, if you are lucky and you have good informants, then you carry the work. And like I said, the first thing you do is to detain the container so that nobody clears it. And during the clearing time, that is where we intercept and do the examination. So
how effective has this collaboration internationally with your international security partners and local been in the past period in dealing with some arresting and coming to handle some of these things that we are seeing?
There were several informations. Sometimes you go in and it doesn't work for you. But if it works for you like this arms thing, then you are okay. But several times you go, you detain the container, you go and do the physical examination with the other agencies, and it doesn't give you the items you are informed about.
So sometimes your tip-offs fail.
Yeah, it can fail.
But you see, that's where people have also, how have you been able to also communicate this to, say, clients? Because sometimes I saw a video on Facebook by a young lady who was complaining bitterly that, you know, she brought a container, it's been stuck there, they say people are coming to investigate it, they still haven't brought it, and all of that. How are you able to communicate to the client that, okay, this container has been flagged, or we suspect this, and so we are taking a look at this, that's why we are detaining this, so that people, when containers are kept, people don't lament about the delays that you spend on them, eventually only for you to come and tell us that there was nothing, you didn't find anything in it.
You see, insecurity trade facilitation is nothing to us. Because, you see, why we detain it, you might not understand.
But you must explain to the client, though.
Then we do. Okay. Because there was a time, when I was appointed first to the port, there was a container which they declared TV. 20, and it was containing about 100. Then chairs, garden chairs, they declared, I think 100, it was 700.
I see.
But when they are putting pressure to, you can see from their face that there's something wrong with the container, so you go ahead and complete it. Yes. So I'm saying that trade facilitation, sometimes there's not, for security people, we look with a different eye.
No, but once you are able to communicate, I think that's where often the difficulty had come from, that, you know, sometimes in the course of doing your work, which is security, and fair enough, the communication is not out there, and so people are not able to decipher when you are truly doing your...
Do you know something? Do you know something? The agents sometimes cause this discomfort to the importers. When we want them, because you cannot examine a container without the presence of the importer and the agent. So sometimes the agent, this particular one, for instance, the arms thing, the agent ran away.
The ammunition?
Yes.
So you still don't have the agent?
No, it took us some time before we arrested.
So now you have him?
Yes. So sometimes it's not as smooth as we see it. But for me, the issues are this. Security work
you can be surprised. The element of surprise is always there.
Yeah.
Like the president said, the element of surprise can cause a lot of discomfort to certain things. So for this one, you always have to take your time to do a lot of work.
Yeah. Mr. Hamza,
can I give clarity to something? Yes. I want to give clarity on the declarant,
okay,
the agent.
Okay.
The agent was present with us,
and because
yes.
I think I saw in your release.
Yes, he was with us, and we did everything. The counting, he took part. He was part of it, and it was only after that the police picked him.
Okay.
So he was.
Yeah, that's what I want to stress.
Yes. Yeah. So he was with us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that brings me to that question. That what's the collaboration that you're getting from stakeholders, include the agents that you have clarified that in this case he was with you, other agencies that you work with, the national security, the BNI, the police, marine police, and all of that. How effectively are you collaborating to ensure that these things are handled well?
Collaboration is what we do at the port. From examination to even joint, what do we call it, escorts with the national security. Yeah. We collaborate a lot. We collaborate. Even GPHA has the port security. Yeah. Yes. We have committees which we all attend meetings with, so we collaborate a lot.
Yeah,
and even with the ICOM system, we do joint examination, as he has already confirmed. With this particular item, we're all there. We even had to call some of them who were not around to come for us to do the joint examination. So there's a lot of collaboration so far as the port is concerned.
Okay. Yeah. We are in getting close to the electioneering season, and the part we have got into, a lot of people get disturbed when they hear these news of ammunition being arrested and all of that. Is there a particular measure you have put in place, either within this particular period, or maybe something you have been practicing all this while, that shows that things have changed when it comes to security, or you're more alert within this period?
Security is a 24/7 issue,
and all time.
So if you want to work for a period to upgrade your security, then you are in trouble, because but then what could have happened would have happened, and you are just making a wild goose chase. So we are on top of our issues. So currently you can see what has happened. We have been able to pick these arms and ammunitions, and then we have helped to pick the cocaine. So you see that we are up and working. So it is not just working for election or because we have picked arms at this period. It is something we have been doing.
Yeah.
And we are.
But in the case of the ammunitions, you haven't picked one for some period.
Yes, but it means that the system we have up against currently, we have improved in our technology. The technology we have scanners here.
That are able to detect all these things.
Yes, technology has improved, and we have very dedicated officers who are working, prepared to work. So we are up and working, and we have support from our big men. They've publicly told us that we are supposed to perform our work without fear. Nobody is going to interfere into our work, so we are working. And I mean, election time, we will make sure that whatever we are supposed to do to support the election to succeed, we will do it.
I'll come to Mr. Tete to find out about some of the things that you would love the public to be very wary about within this period and going forward, and then how resilient you are also getting as an institution. But let me announce that the WhatsApp number that you can send your message on is 055-901-9177, 055-901-9177, the number that you can call and be decorous when you you get to the opportunity to call. The number is 020-552-8353. Share your thoughts with us if you want to, and be decorous. As I said again, this is a matter of security and very, very sensitive and important. So if you have any input to make, share with us, and I'm sure that we will also endeavor to share them with the rest of the world. Mr. Tete, what are the things are there anything new that you have put in place within this period?
Oh, like my colleague said, security is 24/7. So you just have to be on top of your game. Any information you get, you don't sleep over it. You work, like I said, for instance, for the cocaine thing, when we had the intelligence, quickly we wrote letter to detain it. And lo and behold, when we followed up, when we allowed them to take all the 50 containers to the warehouse, but that particular container, because we had our information right and the process is right, we were able to arrest the container. The only thing is that I want to assure the public that insofar as me, in particular, I stay in the port there, nobody can play a funny game. And we will make sure that we will apply all the intelligence we have to intercept any cargo which will not inure to the benefit of the security of this country.
What are some of the things that you do not expect people to bring when they haven't gone through the formal or the proper procedures, including getting permits before bringing them? So you take those ammunitions, for instance, and of course the cocaine that we saw. What are some of the things that you have seen people made the move in bringing into the country that are not supposed to come in, but probably they assume that they can easily just bring them in?
Well, if it is an assumption, then they should know that something awaits them. But you see, there are other things which are very dangerous to our security. For instance, even ordinary fertilizer.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they use to prepare explosives.
Yeah.
So in the port there, we don't keep fertilizer in the port there. Two,
and so if somebody is bringing a fertilizer, what should the person do so that it doesn't become a contraband in the end?
Yes, he has to seek that permission from Minister of Agriculture.
Okay.
So when they bring it, we don't allow it to stay in the port. Sometimes we even follow up to where they are going to warehouse it.
Yeah.
And we make sure that they are not being used for other activities.
Yeah. And they should properly declare
yes.
as well.
And then these explosives for mining. Do you know somebody can use it in the marketplace and explode and cause harm?
I see.
So when it comes to the port, we escort it to the magazine of the importer, CID, National Security, BNI. We escort it. Those are some of the assurances so that nobody will divert it.
Yeah.
But our problem is when it goes to the warehouse, how they dispense of it, that is the problem.
Why should that be a problem?
Because they might not take inventory properly. That maybe they are sending it to the mines and then they divert it.
But you are supposed to track all the way to the warehouse.
Yes,
in collaboration with the other agencies.
Then we leave it with the police and their owner.
Okay, so at that point you are saying that you don't collaborate to ensure that it gets to the final destination as it should, which you should.
No, we follow it up. When we get to the destination, we end our duties. Then it's left with the, is it the Amora or whatever it is.
And there should be that assurance that at that point too, we are sure that
that's what I'm saying, that
destination.
If the unexpected happens and something happens there, but as per the arrangement we have now, nobody can divert those things.
Okay.
We make sure it goes to where it's supposed to go.
Okay.
Yes.
On Mr. Yamga, on that one, looking at the procedures that we have in place now and the processes that we have in ensuring that whatever is declared and imported to our country gets to the destination and for the purposes for which they are imported, how secured are we on
when customs goods come to customs, we have procedures. Is it going to a free zone? We have a procedure for the free zone. It is, we have the tracking system which tracks it to its point. We have officers there who receive it. Is it going to the warehouse? We at the point of entry, we have a procedure for it. So there's no consignment which leaves the port without customs making sure that it is properly accounted for. That is what we do. So we ensure, is it transit? If it's transit, there's a procedure for it which we adhere to. Whatever processes we have, we ensure that wherever it is going, it will reach its final destination.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes if it's necessary, we even give, if we see that there's something we need, we can even give human escort, though it is limited.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Tete raised the issue of, okay, after it's got into the warehouse, we want to look at how best it's disposed of and all of that. Again, do you think that there's a need for a lot more effective collaboration between the agencies at this point in time? A lot more. Now, again, I'm saying this because a message from a top security person also says that when it came to the issue of the container on the cocaine, for instance, not much was shared among the security agents. I'm paraphrasing in a certain way. I just want to leave the details. But how effective are the security agencies collaborating to ensure that these things, even if you get to nab them, and you have to ensure that they don't end up where you don't want them, that is achieved?
Yeah, but I want to state that for customs processes, we begin with a procedure and end. We follow a consignment from, if it's warehousing,
okay,
there's a declaration, then there's a procedure in the system, and it goes to the warehouse.
Okay.
There's an officer there who receives it. So we don't abandon anything. We make sure that whatever comes into the country, the process is completed.
Okay.
Yeah. And as for collaboration, so far as we are concerned, we do a lot of collaboration.
Okay.
The system is such that you must do joint examination. If it's joint examination, you have to do it. If the goods are for FDA, we make sure that all those processes which should ensure that FDA does its work goes through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before I pick Joe from Nungwa on the line, the last part of the release from customs says that the attention of the, okay, I'll come to that, but they virtually wanted to say that we thought they want to debunk the notion that people say that even though the ammunitions have been seized, they will end up being given back to the person who imported them by way of conniving and colluding. It will still get back to the people. That is why I'm keen about how you keep some of these things when you seize them. How do you dispose of them? Who takes charge of them after that? And at that point in time, how are the security agencies collaborating to make sure that that final target is achieved?
As I say, customs, we have procedures. Arms and ammunition, when we take them, they are transferred to the public warehouse.
And then after that?
After that, the investigation will continue. But we will make sure.
And what happens to the items when the investigations are continuing? They are still in your custody at the warehouse?
When we transfer to the public warehouse, we don't control them. We're given to the police. That is the work of the police.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so after it's gone to the warehouse, it now becomes the custody of the police.
Exactly.
Okay. Let me pick Joe from Nungwa. I'll come back to this particular phrase. Hello, Joe. Okay, so I think we lost that. Mr. Tete, that bit of ensuring all the way to the final destination where it's still in your grip. So if I take this ammunition, are we still saying that it's in the custody of the police? Where are the ammunitions now?
Currently,
yes,
we are in the process to do the necessary transfers.
So
to the police.
Where are they? They are with customs?
They are with customs, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what I want to find out. What's the assurance that these things, when confiscated or they end up in the hands of the state, they are intact, and then also give the public some bit of confidence that it's not as if people will pass behind and go and hand it over to some people.
No, it's not like that. You see, when they hand it over to the police pursue prosecution. So the people might end up in court. So after court, judgment will come, and they will direct whether the ammunition should be given to the security agencies to use, or maybe for distraction. So nobody can take it and decide that they will use it for their own self. It's never done. There are individuals who bring arms, like he said earlier on. You might not know, you went to maybe US, you were coming, then you bought the arms without seeking permission before buying it. So when you come to the port, the custom people will seize it and then give it to the police. Maybe some people will go and chase the permit, and then they might be given the permit to own that arms. But such a huge number of arms like this, you can't just go and give it to somebody and say, and in this
but
case,
if it was smaller than the quantity, what if it was smaller?
That's what I'm saying, that like you go to the maybe abroad and you are coming, you should have gotten permit before importing, and you didn't get it and you brought it, custom will seize it and maybe direct you to go and see the police. What happens between the police and the individual, that one I don't know. But in this case, they didn't even declare it, so they have criminal intent.
That side is the fact that they wasn't declared and for which you have confiscated is clear. But this part, and that's why I stressed it earlier, because it was even contained in the custom release that Mrs. Florence Asante, the Assistant Commissioner of Communications and Public Affairs, signed. The latter part says the Ghana Revenue Authority finds it worrying, mischievous and premature any information that seeks to imply that the seized ammunition is being kept for onward release to some big men, in quote. The outcome of the investigations by the police on the restricted items will be made public when it is concluded. The authority uses this opportunity to caution all importers that the importation of arms and ammunition can be carried out only with a permit by the Ministry of Interior. So Customs itself is worried about the fact that people have this notion. So how do we dispel that?
I don't see how that can happen. Where I sit, I don't see how that can happen.
Okay.
It is not possible.
Okay.
From where I sit.
Because?
Yeah, because
we want to assure the public that, yeah, that won't happen. Because the process doesn't allow that.
The process doesn't allow that.
Okay.
Yes.
At the moment it's in your custody.
Yes.
And whatever is done to it, would you make it public to the...
That's what I'm saying, that we have a procedure for illegal importation of arms. If you bring in arms, or even if you come and declare, we'll hand it over to the public warehouse. Okay. That is where arms are kept. And if, as I've said already, if you come and you declare your arms, we detain it and we transfer it to the public warehouse. It is now left with you and the Minister of Interior and the police to see whether you can own that weapon.
Okay.
But this one in particular, they were not declared.
So at no circumstance should it be given back to the owner? Is that what you're saying? He may find some legal excuses.
Who is the owner?
Have you found the owner?
I don't know who is the owner.
Have you?
I don't know.
Do we have the owner?
So we
it's just speculation.
Yes. So
the agent couldn't help with the owner?
I don't. As at now, what we have done is to seize the items and go through the rest is with the police.
Okay.
That is the police job.
Ohima says, good evening, Iron Port. I'd like to find out the role of scanning in the detecting of these normal, in quote, normal cargoes. Because today at the Tema port, almost all containers are scanned. We were told that the Terminal 3 scanners could detect some of these items. Are the scanners supposed to be able to detect these contraband goods, etc., the cocaine and all of that? Can the scanners? Because we do have all the scanners.
Yeah, they help.
Have they been detecting
this
these?
particular consignment, at least we saw signs of it, and it helped. Yeah, it helped.
By the scanner?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a scanner at the authority building, not the scanner, but the pictures from the scanner.
Okay, we have somebody on the line. Let me take that one. Hello? Good evening, madam.
Yes, and this is IMaH from TEMA.
Okay.
Yeah.
I suppose
so I like to find out something. I like a kind of education about an instance where maybe an agent, a container is opened and then it's contained contraband of consignment without permit, like example guns, like in the case that we are talking about now. I like to find out, until the point of examination or until the point where the container is opened, not even the clearing agent knows the content of it, because there's a clause that says that it's still contained. Okay, but here the container is open and it contains maybe cocaine or guns, and the clearing agent is arrested. Now, what are the expectations of the authority or stakeholders when the clearing agent is arrested? What should he do? Number two, at what point is the information made public? And then
what do you mean at what point? What do you mean by at what point is it made public? Because the
public is like what we heard last week Saturday. We read that there was this concerning that.
Yes, Customs sent a release out.
Pardon?
Customs sent a release out. So what information again?
So I like to find out. You see, at what point is it? At the point when the importer or the consignee has come, or at the point where the agent has been held? Because if, for example, it's my consignment and I realize I hear in the news that it's cocaine or something, the importer might have leaving the clearing agent to their fate.
Okay. Okay.
So at what point is in the investigation is the whole thing made public, so that the importers or consignees don't abscond leaving agents to their fate? I also want to find out whether that has happened before.
Okay, I think that's clear. Ms. Ayanga, at what point do you make the information public such that it would not betray the agent and let the importer, whoever imported this, go scot-free? Because to some of the agents, you're just working on behalf of an importer. You may not even know the content. You hear this in the news that a container that you are working on has been seized because it contains so the importer who sent you probably may abscond, and you are left there to face the law.
I think this is a business transaction between you and you represent him. So
what would you advise? What should they do so that they are not left to their fate when it comes to situations like this?
I mean, to the agent?
To the agents, for instance.
They should know what they are bringing. They should let them know what they are bringing. I think that is the best thing, because if you don't know what the person is bringing...
What if they don't tell you? I mean, they say that, but it's not...
That is what I'm saying. It's a business transaction. So it is not where the risk is there. So it's left with you and the authorities to...
Yes.
But like you said,
add to the fact that she also wants to know at what point do you make it public, because why don't you then shelve some of the information before the importer absconds?
You see, the point is that, like you said, it's a business transaction, so you should be sure of what the person is bringing. Now, sometimes when we detect those things, we need to do further investigations, because if you bring it to the public domain, even the likelihood that the importer will run away is very high. So we do our background work by trying to locate where it is, the person is, before we bring it to the public. And you have to make sure that whatever you are coming to say, there's not like you are trying to make the person feel bad in the eye of the public. You have to be sure of what you are doing. So it will take some time. It could be one day, it could be hours. Okay? So for the client, for the agent to go and do such a thing without ensuring that what your client is bringing is good, that's why you suffer the consequence of it. Let me give you an example. There was this military uniform on the 11th of August 2020.
That's recent.
Yes. somebody brought military uniform, and they describe it as running, what do you call it, tracksuit. But lo and behold, when the thing was open, we saw that it was
military uniforms.
Military
for
uniform.
what? This was a private person, individual?
A private person. I don't want to mention the person.
No, we can keep that. But military uniforms, and what did he say it was for?
They said running tracking suit and track suit.
But it was military uniform with the hats and everything.
With water bottle,
I see.
And then have a sack at the back.
Interesting.
Complete military dress.
Just about 2 months ago.
Yes, and we traced it to the warehouse.
Okay.
And we arrested the warehouse owner. Yes.
The warehouse or the importer itself?
The warehouse, yeah, let me say he's the importer.
Okay.
And they distribute it to all parts.
So my thing is, what happens to this particular item, for instance? In the end, where does it end?
It ends to anybody.
No, why should it end to anybody?
Yeah, because if you don't get it at the port.
These are uniforms that a private person has imported.
Yes.
They are military uniforms. They are not being imported by the Ghana Armed Forces, and we missed the armed forces around. But if they were being imported by armed forces, then we know where it's going to end eventually. Probably wasn't declared they will go there. But this is a private fellow. So how do we ensure that these items will not end up somewhere that we don't want them to do?
That is why we will arrest you at the port and prosecute you.
And then what happens to the items?
They have to seize it and destroy it.
So that uniform, for instance, where is it?
It's on that BNI investigation.
So the items are with the BNI?
It has been referred, the case has been referred for their investigation.
Okay. Look, we have a caller on the line. I'm not too sure the name, but hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I tell my name is Abdul Abdullah.
Okay, Abdullah.
Yes, I'm calling from Alajo.
Yes, go ahead. Abdullah, please go ahead. We can hear you.
Yes, yes. I want to contribute to your program.
Go ahead, sir.
We are, as a Ghanaian, we are all aware that we are in a election year. And then for an individual or private person to import ammunition of that magnitude, 400 and something, it's alarming. So my question is, has the importer and the agent been prosecuted? Are they in court? Where are they? I'm told the first security, the first CID man who is investigating the case has been locked up in the self.
Okay, I think your question is fair. So let's leave the details of what you have, and let them give you answer to your question. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Do you know where the importer is, or the
No, they are under CID investigation.
So they are in the custody of the police.
He was talking about somebody has been locked up.
That side I don't entertain. So he understands.
Okay.
And that he doesn't have to get there. If he needed a question,
I should shelve it.
You shelve it.
Okay.
If he needed to know where those people are, I think you have made it clear.
No, he was trying to say that somebody who gave the what do you call it, information about the ammunition is being locked up.
If you feel like clearing something on that, you can clear. Is there something you know you want to clear?
Because there's this arms ammunition, there was no informant.
Okay.
Because we did our normal routine jobs, and we, as I told you at the beginning, what we observed were gaps in the container. So we didn't have any information from anywhere. We don't have any informant.
Yeah.
If there's any informant, I don't know.
Okay.
Because I know that there was no informant. Where that person has been locked,
you can't tell.
Let me tell you the fact of that thing. After the inventories have been taken, I think one policeman had access to that documentation.
You know, that detail, once it's been said that it's been investigated, I would love to leave it there because he wanted to know the importer. Let me just clear the other side. Now, Richard from Adidome says that because we are leaving some of these information, we have a lot of bigger assignments to undertake, and we have to be careful Somebody was just asking about when we communicate the information. We just don't want to put everything out there. But you should know that people, the men in uniform and even those who are not in uniform are working timelessly, and all these things have been investigated. Now, Richard from Adidome says that the owner of this particular ammunitions, have you found them? So it's the same thing. He wants to talk about that now. Why do we say we don't know the importer of these ammunitions and assume that he had brought in bombs and all of that? Can we say we don't know the owner? So Richard, the assurance is that some individuals are in the custody and they are being investigated for that particular action. This one says, I would like to know if the container is being seized. Is the owner of the illegal container, he puts it, come back and do the necessary check and balances to retrieve what have been seized? What then become of the importer? Not sure what you're trying to say. Okay, I'm sure you want to talk about the clearing agent. If the owner comes back, what happens to the clearing agent? Is he an accomplice in this? Whoever the clearing agent is he an accessory?
It could be a key witness.
If it becomes a criminal case, sorry.
It could be a key
witness.
Yes.
My problem with the security architecture in the port is that he's mentioned quite a number of agencies. After you have been released by preventive and GPHA and the national security, there is a police at the exit point checking documents, whilst the police have no business with duty payment or terminal charges. They sometimes check chassis numbers for cars and also contribute to delays. That is coming from Oscar from Pung. He feels that some of the documentations are duplicate, the inspection of documentation.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. Good evening. Please ask the security agencies how secure are we that many of these containers do not pass through the port without them seeing it. Assume it did not go through the port. How are we sure that we could have kept this? Comrade Yasser is asking. Is it the case that all these items may have to come through the seaport, for instance? Is it possible that some of these, and maybe Mr. Ayamga,
containers pass through the main port?
Okay.
And there's no container which leaves the port without going through customs. It is either scanned or examined.
Yes. If I have to play the devil's advocate, I think he's trying to imply that other borders, other unapproved routes, how
on the sea,
aside the sea, aside the ports, maybe in the port route, but elsewhere, is it possible?
Let me say something. It has always been the assumption of the public that you can take a container and then just put it to your head and carry it outside. It's never possible, because as soon as the containers, even at high seas, they put them into the system. I think the ICOMs put them in the system.
Okay.
So every container that comes to the port has been already keyed into the system. So you can never take any container without the necessary processes. It can happen.
Sure.
Yes.
Let me pick the last caller and then I'll read some of the messages. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. My name is Joe, and I want to contribute with
Go ahead, Joe.
I'm from Nungwa. As for the customs and the preventive, they are doing their work best, because I know the man who is sitting there, Mr. Ayanga, he is perfect, and the team also are perfect. So I want to advise the public that anything that they are doing, they shouldn't take them granted.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe from Lungwa. IMaH, Max from Atiko says, when you check the guns, are they current guns that can be used by the military? Then we should hand them over to the military. The clearing agent should also have a picture of the importer so that he can share with the security agencies. Don't worry about that. As for the security folks, they are handling that bit of getting the importer. If not, you know, we just don't want to say everything. So just keep that that part. But can we hand the guns to some agencies within the country to use?
Yeah, but that will be directed by the court.
Okay.
If they go, if they appear before a court, after the case, the court will direct whether it should be given to the armed forces to use. Yes.
Finally, the gentleman who called talked about elections period, and we should look at that. We can assume that it's not there. Is this period demanding some extra work or duty or extra alertness within the port industry, within the port environment?
For me, like my colleague said, he said 24/4 and 24/7, and that's what we do. We don't relax anything. Even the COVID time, we were still going to work, making sure that nobody takes a container under any fake excuse. So for us, nobody, even one gun cannot pass without our knowledge. Nothing can pass without our knowledge. For me, I believe in what we are doing there. All the agencies, you can't pass without being detected. And so, whether it's election or not, we are doing our normal security duties. If you try and joke with us, we will arrest you. Yes, we will arrest you. For instance, there are sometimes we look at even the scan. If the image is not too clear and it is even green, sometimes national security will call for physical examination. Yes, it is labeled green, but for us maybe we detect that the images are not clear for us to clear you. So I'm assuring the public that we are on top of our job. Nobody will pass with anything without our knowledge.
Somebody wants to know, please, I want to find out from the port security officials if there is any policy or directives to quarantine or detain containers from Southern America because of high risk of drugs or other contraband goods. Because here in Antwerp, and he's sending the message from Brussels, he says here in Antwerp, here in Antwerp Port, Belgium, containers from high risk countries in Latin America is specially quarantined and detained for thorough security examination. It's coming from Eric in Brussels. Do you have particular this thing depending on the countries?
The risk management team at headquarters is made up of all parties who are concerned with the security of this country, including all the narcotics and all the intelligence people who matter. So they have intelligence on all this. So if there's a container coming from that part of the country, they will interdict it. They will give us information to handle it.
Okay.
So we are up. I'm doing. So there's no. If it's coming from South America, this particular container came from Turkey.
Okay.
So it is now.
The ammunition came from Turkey.
So that is something I know they will now take up.
They may change the origin.
But anything coming from that area, I know the risk management team will start looking at it. And we all of us.
When it is transited and there are no traces of where it's
they will know how to go about it. So nobody's to think that we will not we will succeed. Yeah.
This last Friday, I had an intelligence that any container coming from Turkey now, we will do rigorous inspection. Any container coming from Turkey.
And then it may not necessarily be only one country, is it? Because just Turkey. I mean, it could be.
No, but once they've shown the signals,
that they
can easily do that thing. Any container coming from there, Masa won't give you the chance. Yes, Monday I'm writing to all the agencies there, including MPS terminal, the owner, that any container from Turkey should not be seen as an ordinary container. We need to go into it. It will not be pleasant to importers, but that's what we have to do. Like you are talking about elections. Yes, we won't give any chance to any container coming from Turkey.
Nana Achiama, I have to read, it says, in the case of transporting fertilizer to its final destination, my question is, does internal security, which is the police, have a unit which work closely and exclusively with the security agencies at the port? Nana Achiama says he loves the program.
You see, do you know something? Agrochemicals, because of sometimes the chemical nature, and the toxic nature, we don't normally do inspections at the port. So we go to the warehouse with the product so that there we can check the quantities and the type of chemical that you import. 2, they misdescribe a lot. You know, we decide, he knows much. We decide, I think the taxes are higher than no, insecticide, the taxes are higher than weedicide. So sometimes they will misdescribe that the weedicide and the insecticide is weedicide. So that is why we do a lot of what do you call it? This examination at the warehouses. We call it premises examination.
Okay, so Ernest Ansa, Fifi Donko, and a few others as we are watching this live. It's very educative. I'm watching from Oxford in UK. Kwame Ata Jima said that one. Bless Yali says, I think that sometimes we don't have to blame the agents because they are not importers. They only declare per the packing list the importer gives him or her. I noticed that quite a number of agents are liking this particular statement. How careful, I think I've asked this earlier, since they are talking about it, the agents are talking about it, how careful should they begin to see their job, particularly when somebody can just bring something, not tell you what the content is, and then eventually hand you into some trouble? Since you are customs, you are their partners in everything, what would you tell them?
We advise that they should be professional.
Okay.
If you are professional, somebody, you know what you are doing. Somebody brings you a job, you don't even, sometimes who is the owner? You don't know the person. It happens. Yeah. The person says he's somewhere and he's dealing with you, you don't know the person. You should be able to find a way so that if there is a problem, the person too can be properly, you can hold him responsible.
So they have to be careful.
Yes, you have to be very professional.
Yeah.
Yes, because these things, this sometimes very risky.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody brings a declaration to you, you have not even they have to be careful.
Yeah.
Very, very.
And you can easily end up in some of these criminal.
Exactly.
Because once you are found in a circumstance where you are holding something that is not legal, you still definitely be liable. Okay, the Assistant Commissioner sent this. Let me just read this quickly and then go for my international news. They're quite, agents are by law working on behalf of importers, so they lead us to the owner in case of any eventuality. That advice came from the Assistant Commissioner in charge of the TEMA sector command. Now the criminal aspect is being handled. Okay, I'll read this when we come back from the international news quickly.
The latest figures from ICC International Maritime Bureau show that there has been a 40% increase in the number of kidnappings reported in the Gulf of Guinea in the first 9 months of 2020 compared with the same period in 2019. IMB said in its third quarter report that pirates armed with guns and knives are abducting bigger groups of seafarers at further distances off the West African coast. Per the report, there have been 132 attacks since the start of 2020, up from 119 incidents in the same period last year. Of the 85 seafarers kidnapped from their vessels and held for ransom, 80 were taken in the Gulf of Guinea. These happened in 14 attacks reported of Nigeria, Benin, Gabon, Equatorial Guinea, and Ghana. In the first 9 months of 2020, seafarers reported 134 cases of assault, injury, and threats, including 85 crew members being kidnapped and 31 held hostage on board their ships. A total of 112 vessels were boarded and 6 were fired upon, while 12 reported attempted attacks. The Global Mercy, the world's largest civilian hospital ship being constructed at the Tianjin Jinhan shipyard in northern China, is nearing completion. Mercy Ships, the international charity that ordered the vessel, expects it to enter service by the end of 2021 after transport to Africa. Global Mercy is the second hospital ship, and it will join Mercy Ships Africa Mercy, which has been in service in Africa since 2007. Stena RoRo has been responsible for the design, the contracting, and the construction oversight of the complex vessel. In addition to the Chinese shipyard, the project includes several European, American, and Asian subcontractors. The vessel is of a length of 174 meters, weight of 37,000 tons, breadth of 28.6 meters, and draft 6.15 meters. The ship has a total area of 30,000 square meters, with 6 operating rooms, and can accommodate up to 950 crew and guests. German liner company Hapag-Lloyd says the performance of the container shipping market in the third quarter of 2020 was much better than expected, pushing up earnings. Based on the preliminary findings, Hapag-Lloyd's earnings before interest and taxes for the third quarter 2020 significantly increased to around 350 million euros, whereas in 2019 it made 253 million euros. Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization rose to around 650 million euros compared to 554 million euros in 2019. Hapag ascribed the positive business developments to significantly higher demand and transport volumes combined with rigorous cost and revenue management. Hapag-Lloyd's upgraded forecast comes days after industry major Maersk lifted its guidance for 2020 amid quicker than expected market recovery. Hong Kong-based container ship operator Seaspan Corporation has closed a $200 million sustainability-linked loan inspired by the Poseidon Principles framework. The voluntary framework, developed by the banking sector, aims to accelerate the implementation of the shipping sector's green agenda in line with the International Maritime Organization's 2050 decarbonization targets. The loan's pricing is adjusted based on Seaspan's achievements measured against 2 key performance indicators. The first aims at measuring the alignment of the carbon intensity of the collateral vessels with the IMO's 2050 decarbonization trajectory. The second aims at fostering cooperation with charterers in order to advance the decarbonization agenda by seeking to include sustainability-linked provisions in future charter contracts. According to a new American Bureau of Shipping survey, LNG and hydrogen are viewed as front-runner fuels to help shipping reach IMO decarbonization ambitions. The ABS survey said LNG was the solution to the 2050 emissions target for 47% of respondents, while hydrogen was the answer for 40%. Just 8% opted for ammonia and 5% for methanol. LNG was again the dominant fuel option to get the industry to 2030 targets, securing the support of 64% of respondents against 22% for hydrogen and 7% each for ammonia and methanol.
Okay, so as we are wrapping up, now somebody asked about 1,500 weapons that were seized, he says, last year. Do you know about it? When, what has happened to it?
Yes, I'm aware, but the importer had every...
You remember that particular case?
Yes, yes, but the importer had documents to cover his, what do you call it? His...
The import?
Import, so
it's been given back to...
Given back to him. Once you secure the permit to import and you follow the necessary procedure, you'll be allowed to take your goods.
Okay.
The fact that it is arms, it doesn't become a scarecrow, because once it has been structured in such a way that they want to know where you are going to keep it and the way you dispose of it, you've got the permit, then you are entitled to import the arms for public use. Yes.
Okay. The AC says he has a piece of advice for all, and that is not to rush and send port security issues until all arrests are made. Now, this brings this thing to the final point I would want to hear from you will be how you handle some of these information. And Ohima, the freight forwarder, also asked it, how you handle information so that it doesn't go out there and you end up losing principal suspects.
In fact, the team which did the job at the MPS terminal, we did it professionally. From that place to up to whatever, we made sure that we handle the information carefully so that it will not jeopardize investigation. In fact, it was just unfortunate what happened. It was unfortunate that when the consignment left, I don't know how it happened. In fact, it was just unfortunate. So I think we should
be more careful how we
all the stakeholders. Let us,
because it comes from the security agencies among yourselves.
Yes, we were surprised that it happened that way, because we cautioned everybody not to release anything on social media, because that is what happens.
Maybe when it happens like that, so you prevent people from coming there with phones and all that.
Well, where we did the inventory, we made sure that we controlled it. But at the end, I'm sure as it was leaving, it had left to wherever we were going to keep it. Maybe somebody hid somewhere and that is one thing.
Okay.
Those pictures did not come from where we did the examination or where we did the inventory.
Isaac from TEMA is advising that agents act as representatives of importers and so could be held liable for offenses caused by importers. Cognizance of this, agents must go further to get much information about the importers they deal with. That's the advice coming from Isaac. And we were talking about the fact that some of these transactions also come with some lucrative, attractive packages for the agents. Proposals for the agents.
Yes.
So they should also be careful when it comes to...
Sure.
Okay. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Dunstan Ayamga is the Chief Revenue Officer, Preventive Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority. And then Sub-Lieutenant Christian Kofi Tete is retired and National Security Liaison Officer of the Port of Tema. We discussed security agencies in the protection of the nation, other ports. And as we're hearing some of these arrests here and there, particularly within season, the assurance is that they are on top. And if you bring them, they will nab you. Why then put yourself in trouble? See you same time next week.